Hello. Welcome back to Not Your Average 9 to 5. This is Anji, and today's podcast is going to be a little different. So I actually don't have a guest this week, and I'm actually in New York City looking at apartments. So that's pretty exciting. So it's definitely a different format this week for the podcast, and thank you for also tuning in. This is obviously the second podcast, so obviously there isn't a normal format, but it's different than the first podcast's formatting and how I'm gonna have most of my podcasts episodes be formatted. But this week I wanted to do something where I read a piece an essay that I wrote that was really inspiring for me to experience and also to write about. And I think it's something that I really want people to listen to and hear about, a story that is so prevalent right now in our world, and how globalization, tourism, even maybe issues like global warming is related to this, but something that I experienced that I just thought was really interesting, and I would love to read you that essay. So the essay is Woke Traveler. It's about my experience in Thailand with one of my friends in college in 2015, and the ups and downs and the different experiences that we went through and had while we were in a different country, in a new experience, culture shock, along with, being around a lot of animals and tourist attractions, and seeing how those operated in a different format and system than I was used to, and just learning a lot about myself on that trip. So I think it's something that anybody who loves to travel or experience new things would be very interested in learning about, and just anyone in general who's trying to really understand our world better. So let me get started. Okay. There's a lot of noise, so if there's any noise during this, just, turn it up. It is New York City and all. Okay. So, the article is called Woke Traveler. The best part of going on a trip can be the anticipation for the unknown. When I traveled to Thailand in 2015, I didn't know what to expect. But that's not what made it so exciting. I can clearly remember my friend Rosie, freshman year of college, laughing with me about how crazy it would be to go to Thailand on an elephant conservation trip. Fast forward to just 4 months later, we were on said trip in Chiang Mai, Thailand, in 100-degree weather. It looked like a scene out of Jurassic Park. We were in the depths of the jungle. This wasn't a Disney World set as much as it was out of this world. As the jungle enveloped us, we heard the organic chatter of the local birds and other species within it. This was all experienced while working with incredible elephants. They were beautiful and looked like prehistoric creatures up close who were taken care of by men known as mahouts, who have worked with these elephants all their lives. They looked after the elephants every day, and our job was to help the mahouts with their daily tasks. It was incredible to both learn about and to work with the organization that takes care of and advocated for elephants. We stayed in cabins and met many different animals, from poisonous frogs to barking lizards and giant spiders. One of the nights, the elephants even took us into the depths of the vast jungle through the mountains, and we slept on pieces of bamboo with only mosquito nets separating us from nature. I could lie and say I was completely prepared for these conditions, Or I could say how I romanticized the experience a little bit, especially when it came to what I brought for clothing. Everyone else had tivas, sandals, while I had flimsy flip-flops that while we were outside actually snapped off, and I was left without any shoes for that night trip. As I heard the instructor go on and on about the multiple dangerous critters within the jungle, including the most poisonous snakes in the world, and with the tiniest scorpion with one sting could be deadly, I knew I had made a mistake. So as we went deeper into the wilderness to grab wood for the fire, and without any other shoes, I ended up going barefoot. All I could think was, well, great, any minute now, a poisonous creature is going to bite my toe. I can generally say I learned my lesson and have a new respect for tiva wearers all around the world. As our experience started to wind down, at least in Chiang Mai, I learned so much about the beautiful culture and even tried some of their delicacies, such as salted grasshopper, which even a vegetarian like myself approved of. With all the gracious people and the amazing location, there was a small part of me that felt this experience disingenuous. I knew that the program was trying to help the elephants, but I saw that they didn't know where the line between being solely a tourist attraction started and being a conservation sanctuary ended. I know that this organization was actually really great and educational as well as helpful to the elephants in the community in many ways, but there was extreme room for improvements that couldn't be ignored. The group I was worried the most about was during our time there that had held elephant shows. They would make the elephants paint pictures for the crowds, and it seemed almost like a circus act. As I started to evaluate the experience, I started to put two and two together, as some things seemed more about appeasing the tourists rather than helping the animals. When you are not sure if something is okay, it usually should be looked into further, especially with animals. It gives you a lot to think about, and it changes the way you think of tourism altogether and charity work as well. While trying to remain both respectful and understanding about the culture, it did make me think, how does the desire for economic growth in the tourism industry influence the way animals may be exploited? I think this question is something as a society and world we need to address. As we changed course towards Bangkok, it was the next part to our incredible adventure. My cousin Phil Robertson is the Southeast Asian director for Human Rights Watch. He lives in Bangkok, and after my friend and I had some fun exploring the wild city a little bit on our own, we met him on the top of the Octave 360 Marriott Hotel rooftop bar that had incredible views nowhere else in the city had. After that, he told us some cool spots to go. We ended up at the well-known, somewhat tourist-trap Koh San Road. This was filled with crowds of people, little markets, and open outside seating. With a cold beer in your hand, how can it get any better? Honestly, really. My friend and I also both talked about how this was one of the best trips of our lives, and I realized that it was time for me to do something that would capture that forever. After learning so much about elephants and how intelligent and wise they are, I decided to get a tattoo inspired by the holiest elephant in Thailand, known as the white elephant. I had the words white elephant in Thai written on my side of my rib. It was such an amazing experience that I will always cherish. As the trip started to come to an end, after almost 3 weeks, we still hadn't seen one animal that we really wanted to see, a tiger. So we decided to go to a zoo really far out of the city. We took a local bus for more than an hour. It may have been because it was a school day for the locals that when we arrived, it was a complete ghost town there. But it was eerie. Extremely eerie. It felt like an abandoned theme park with faint music playing throughout. It just seemed so different from any zoo I had ever seen. I know that in other places, regulations and funding can be extremely different than what I would expect in the US, but it just didn't seem right. As we entered, immediately we noticed a man trying to intrigue us who was next to a tiger, trying to get us to take a picture with the tiger. I'm not proud of thinking this was okay, but we were so naive to what it meant to get a picture with the tiger. So we went over to the man, not until we had already asked for the picture had we realized that the tiger looked extremely sick and thin and was completely sedated. I had never seen anything like it before. He actually started to kick the tiger to wake it up. It was the saddest thing I had ever seen done to an animal, and we immediately said no thank you. It was just so hard to see, along with the other animals in all the small claustrophobic cages and the other extremely skinny tigers in the smoldering heat pacing back and forth, or the poor monkeys in the small spaces. I began to feel sick and I wanted to leave. I just felt wrong to bring them any praise or money. The whole way back, it made me think about how animals are treated and why they are treated that way. It really changed my perspective of what it means to travel and how to really be cautious of your interaction with other cultures, because you could actually be contributing to consequences towards the natural environment. I even heard from a local that they would build up garbage on the road to bring monkeys there. In doing so, it brought tourists that would pay to see them. This shows behavior of people trying to make, of course, money, which we cannot blame, but tourists who aren't educated on what's really going on, falling into a trap that can have negative effects towards the environment. It's important to be fully aware of what you are paying money to experience, and if it is truly for a good cause, that is not abusing animals or nature. This will only create better experiences and more conscious interactions with tourism and animals, potentially beginning a new landscape within our own culture of what is tolerated for their tourism economy to prosper. This is why I wanted to tell my story, to inspire and teach people what I personally experienced, how I also grew and changed my ways of thinking, and how others can too, only to become a better, more aware traveler, which I think we can all be. I would say from now on, always research and take a closer look into any organization you will participate in. And I now will as well. Thailand is an incredible country that I hope everyone has a chance to visit at some point, and hopefully do it in an informed and meaningful way. I know people can have a spontaneous adventure and still remain aware. I am not going to mention any of the organizations we visit at this time out of respect towards their communities. My question, though, to all travelers is, are we awake to what our actions are doing to profoundly change the local environment we visit? And does that give us a responsibility as visitors? I thought it was important to shine a light on not just some magazine article about travel, but a personal experience about someone who truly believed what they were doing was going to help others and animals, and instead found they weren't truly helping much at all. If you go to some of the informative sites I've actually, that is the article that I wrote. Thank you. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope it actually sunk in, and maybe it helps you realize there are differences between organizations that really are there to help and some that are just really part of a tourism trap in a sense. And I know there's good and bad to both sides, and even the organization I worked with was a good organization in many ways, but I just think that you can be more informed and you can find the best organizations and the best ways of helping people, and also being a respectful traveler to both the natural environment and to the culture, and just being someone who is a good citizen in a way, truly, and just like a loving person, you know what I mean? Instead of someone who's really just not aware of what's going on. That's why I love that it's called woke traveler, because that's the whole point. It's about awareness and being awake to what's actually going on. Okay, so if you want, on my article, I have a list of places that actually are good places that you can go to online to research about aware travel and to have a more awoke experience when you travel. So if you go to some informative sites such as Lonely Planet, they will give you some great ideas, as well as Travel TripAdvisor. I actually think TripAdvisor is a really good one because it has a lot of information, and it's also has reviews from other people's experiences, which I think is so important about hearing people who've actually gone through this experience, already done things, so that you actually get a hands-on idea of what's going on and what the experiences are. I also had a story that I really liked that resonated with me that I think you all should check out as well. His name's Darnell Lamont. He is somebody who just basically he went on a trip and it was spontaneous and, not really planned, but he was still able to remain respectful and aware of the cultures he visited because he built that experience and he really did it in a meaningful way, and he has ideas of how to do that, and I thought that was really beautiful, and it's coming from a person, personal experience, which I think is so necessary. And I did list in my article the organization I used, but I just think at this moment, I wouldn't like to expose them. It's not because I even thought they did anything wrong, but I just don't know if I just want to remain respectful because it's not just this organization, it's actually like a whole tourist, attraction that this is an industry that this is based off of, and some are better and some are worse, and I think that there's just so much that you are exposed to when you're seeing the treatment, and just like it just makes you, it just makes you feel kind of sick because you just see it and it's like literally a tourist attraction, and it's not authentic, it's not for the right reasons, and you can see that you just know the difference, but you want to be able to research it before you have to be be in that way. But it's just so interesting, it's one of those really tough things. You can still go to these places and you can be respectful, but I just think you need to really be meaningful in the way that you approach how you're going to travel, especially when you're working with animals, because it's not just, you want to make sure, because we were told we were going to help elephants, because they were orphan elephants, and it just didn't make sense after a certain point, and I just really started to feel like, oh shit, excuse my French, but I was like, or whatever my language, but I just felt like, oh, I don't know. And some of the it wasn't really I felt like the program I was in was good, and working with the elephants was beautiful. They were so, so smart, and the mahouts treated them so well, and it was really interesting and cultural, and we were giving money to the program, and I think there actually was an elephant, hospital, and there was some interesting parts to it, but there was some parts that I didn't like, and there were some places we went with the program that I thought were sketchy, in the sense that they were animal shows, and I did not appreciate that. I didn't think that was good, and I just thought anything with animal shows and circus acts, I just think it's so just not good, and I think you should not support that. And it's when you have to kind of question where your money's going into the organization and all the things it's going for and towards, you just really want to feel like it's healthy and helping the economy and the people and the nature all in the right ways. And I know that's so hard nowadays, it's so hard in general, but to just be as informed as possible, I feel like just telling people about this experience and telling people what they're really getting themselves into. You can still go to these places and see the elephants, but maybe not go as far as what I did, And you know what I mean? And it's just, you can still, do things and maybe go to some organizations that are really like rescue organizations that you can find for animals. And I think that's really important. Just the most natural, real something is, and just being so respectful and just really being like present in the environment that you're in really helps, because I would not take back that experience for anything, because I learned from it and I met so many amazing, beautiful people who actually really care about what they're doing and working with these beautiful animals, that I am so grateful to that experience in so many levels. It's like unreal. But I just felt like there were some parts to it that are questionable. And I just wanted to know, maybe I need to be more aware. Maybe I'm missing something. And I felt like I was. And I think that's so important to be able to say that and be able to be like, there are things that maybe could be changed and maybe could be more respectful. And that's kind of how I felt about it in the end. Like, it was a beautiful experience, and I felt like maybe, you know what I mean, the circus act and those things aren't good, but a lot of what I learned was amazing and so funny and so fun, and it was a beautiful experience. But especially, oh gosh, the zoo, I can't even talk about it, but yeah, that was really hard to be around. That was that was painful. Like, I felt sick. That was something I was like, I can't believe I did this. Like, I can't believe I paid for this. I can't believe I didn't know about this. Like, how they're treated. Why didn't I even think about this? Like, of course, like, people, we don't even like zoos in America. Especially, I don't like any zoos now, depending obviously on the zoo and depending on the treatment and blah, blah, blah. But like, I don't even know. But like, going there and like, not even thinking about like, oh yeah, obviously, like, the tiger, can they mean? It's probably, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even know that I was going to be sedated or any of these problems. And I didn't even think, like, when I went there, of course, maybe the treatment is going to be different. And it was, it was really sickening, honestly. And I'm not trying to be like, but it's just something like, wow, you just never think you're going to have to see anything like that. And it's just like, it's like, it was 100-degree weather. And literally, like, there was like animals in like cages, like literally like, I don't even know, like a barrel, a size of a barrel for like larger animals. And they looked sick, and it was just like, animals should not be caged. And especially like, it just felt so wrong. It just felt so not well taken care of, not well, like, it wasn't like put together of a place. And I would never be disrespectful, because the thing is like, that's a different culture. There's different ways of things. Like I would never be disrespectful to that, because to them that may be normal and the regulation may be fine, and like the way things are set up is different. But I don't blame anybody that was there, because that's their livelihood, that's their job, that's what they know. That's not the point. My point is like, us as tourists need to be more aware. Us as tourists need to be more careful, because we have the opportunity to travel to these places. We have a lot of like things going right and things going forward for us. We need to be ambassadors. We need to be people who like are able to be aware of what's going on, where we're going, be educated enough to make the right decisions, so that we put our money into the right things, so that the people of those areas know what the product should be like, so they make the right kind of product, so that it's helping them, helping nature, helping everyone, instead of, us just like la-di-da and paying for things and producing a product that isn't healthy, but we're part of that problem because we are paying for that to be done. But if we don't pay for it, then it won't be done anymore. If we set the example of what we're wanting and what is okay for us to spend money on, then they'll adjust to that, and the cultures will be a better system for everyone. And I'm not saying like obviously we're the only industry tourists, but I'm saying like we're a huge part, especially in Thailand, of their service economy. So I just know that it would make a huge difference. Sorry for the loud noises. This is New York City. But, okay, I just wanted to say that. And I know I just think it's important for us to talk about this and get more, going and, go to the MSPCA, your local PCA, and just be more aware and healthy and read more about these problems and just the world in general and figure out what's going on. We need to work together, and I'm just so proud of everyone, and I just want more people to, just band together and get creative and work at finding the right ways to travel and right ways to do life, the most healthy, woke ways of life. So, okay, thanks for listening. I hope you loved it.